Welcome to another episode of Washington in Focus. I'm your host, Tim Clauser, with the Center Square's Washington State Investigative reporter, TJ Martinell, here to talk about whistleblowers coming forward about alleged theft at the state's Echo Glen Juvenile Rehabilitation Center. TJ, what's going on here? What's being stolen, and why should taxpayers care about this?
I think there's a couple of reasons why taxpayers should care about this. One is taxpayer dollars are being misused for personal use, according to the allegations made in the story or in the reports, which I included in the story. And the other one is that the fact that DCYF wouldn't talk to me. And then the state auditor in my initial story about this said, oh, we haven't received any word from DCYF about there being alleged theft. Well, I just found out that they were notified by two whistleblowers that they're mentioned in my news story. So they had somebody tell them that this was going on. And then I reached out to the state auditor's office, say, you want to talk to them, do an interview and say, hey, like they came to you. One, why didn't you tell us about that when I reached out for my initial story? And two, what did you guys find? It begs the question. If they were notified, did they do an investigation? If they did an investigation, did they find anything? If they didn't find anything, why didn't they tell us? So we're talking about government accountability. We're talking about misuse of taxpayer dollars. We're talking about fraud. We're talking about all sorts of different things that is just really it makes you wonder, how bad is this? Because if this is, it's not a huge amount of money compared to the amount of money that the government in our state spends. It's $56,000. But at the same time, somebody reported it to DCYF. They reported it directly to Secretary Sen. They reported it to the the state auditor's office, and neither one of them want to talk to me about it. So what's going on? I mean, that's the question. You're asking me what's going on. But that's the question I'm asking myself.
Yeah, TJ, you say in terms of the total state budget, not a ton of money, but at the same time, we're talking, you just said 56. I think your article says $57,000 in alleged theft. Are we talking about cold hard cash out of a safe at this rehabilitation center? Or are we talking like operational supplies?
We're talking about them they're taking money, using it to buy things that they're using for personal use rather than for, you know, for official business reasons. It's like, it would be the equivalent of somebody claiming to go on a business trip and they're actually going to see, I'm trying to think of a band that I have no idea what bands are out there nowadays. Let's say they're going to a band that they're really fan of, 1,000 miles away, and then they build their company and said, oh, that was a business related expense trip or something like that. It's misuse. It's trying to steal from the company or whatever it is. Or if they're using company property for, their own personal use, it's a misuse of company property. But in this case, it's taxpayer dollars. So that's the problem that's going on here. But the bigger problem is the fact of the lack of government transparency. DCYF, like I said, wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't provide a statement. They wanted to know more information. I was like, how about we just talk on the phone about what's going on? Then I requested an interview, and I may hear from the state auditor's office. I gave them a couple of days, but I did ask them to respond for a good dates and good times by today, and I've not heard anything from them. But why didn't they initially come out and say, yeah, we weren't contacted by DCYF. We were contacted by a couple whistleblowers. We looked into it. We didn't find anything. So just letting you know for your own edification. The fact that they aren't even saying that really raises questions about, to what extent did investigate? What did they find? And, the allegations are kind of serious. One of the whistleblowers said that state employees at the facility were misusing money, and it was being covered up by higher up. So how high does the corruption go in this case?
Well, TJ, one of the whistleblowers you referenced in the story did list a few things that the money might have been used for.
Right.
I particularly find this interesting. We're talking kombucha, as if the alleged theft of taxpayer funds didn't cause enough of a stomachache. and then 23 pounds of yeast. I mean, usually you hear about government fraud, waste, and abuse. You think of people taking money out of a safe or siphoning money out of a social service program. I mean, we're talking about 23 pounds of yeast. This is a different kind of theft than I think
Yeah.
I have ever seen.
Well, I mean, if you have a relative or a spouse or whoever who owns a brewery and they're trying to brew beer or they're trying to do, alcohol, yeast is kind of important. So if I'm just saying, that's one of the possibilities of how it was used was, they were ordering yeast so they could help either their own business or someone else's business when it comes to the, brewing beer. As far as kombucha, well, the problem is there's a lot of health code violations or things that you can't claim that they were business related because the food they were ordering is supposed to be for the kids who are in the detention facility, and yet a lot of that stuff is not allowed. I can't remember which one it was, but the fact that they had so much of it, you could theoretically make alcohol out of it. Aside from yeast, I think the yeast. Oh, that was the yeast where you can make this like alcoholic drink that inmates will make or all that kind of stuff. I mean, anybody who's kind of researched history knows that desperate men, desperate times call for desperate measures. Men will make alcohol out of anything. Jungle juice during World War II or whatever it was. Um, but I mean, if people are wondering why would they buy and misuse taxpayer dollars to buy 23 pounds of yeast, I guess is they were making alcohol of some kind. We don't know. And it'd be nice to talk to the DCYF and state auditor's office. Say, what did you find? What was that yeast for? Were they making a big loaf of bread?
Yeah, well, it must have been some expensive yeast and kombucha and whatever these specialty drinks and coffee that they were allegedly buying. But TJ, appreciate you covering this. It's a particularly interesting case, and again, something that we might not have caught had you not filed those public records requests.
Yeah.
Appreciate your reporting on this, and we'll continue to cover it as it comes out. And for anyone hoping to read those articles, you can catch them at thecentersquare.com. Otherwise, thank you for joining us for another episode of Washington in Focus.